Good morning, everyone. For those that were in our previous session, welcome back. For those that this is your first time attending, welcome. Today, we are so thankful to have Jennifer Redman, who is going to discuss with us lifestyle tips to boost fertility. And just a little bit of background on Jennifer. She's a certified integrative nutrition health coach who has worked in the infertility field for more than 15 years. She is going to go ahead and start her presentation. I do want to ask that we hold all questions unless she does open it up in the middle, but I'm assuming we're going to hold the questions till the end. And I'll let Jennifer take the floor.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you all this morning. So I'm here to talk about lifestyle tips to boost fertility. Fertility is influenced by many factors, some of which you can't control, maybe anatomical or genetic factors, but really many, many, many which you can. And studies have proven the effects of food and nutrition on health and fertility. And studies have also proven the effects of mind-body techniques on conception. So here's my goal for you this morning. I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes and we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. But during this session, I want to help you uncover some techniques and strategies that can help you boost your overall health and fertility. And I want to help you learn how to take back control in a time that might feel like you have little control. So a quick disclaimer before we get started. No information should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease or an attempt to treat or prevent or cure any disease or condition. The views and nutritional advice expressed by me are not intended to be a substitute for conventional medical services. And always check with your doctor before making any dietary or exercise changes or using any over-the-counter products. So yes, I am Jennifer Redman. I'm a certified integrative nutrition health coach. I work exclusively with women who are trying or planning to get pregnant, either naturally or using infertility treatment. I'm also a former infertility patient. So, I've worked in this field for 15 or 17 years now. I've written and edited literally thousands of articles on fertility and infertility. And all of this has really influenced the way I work. So, I've really learned in my career that there's an opportunity to approach fertility from a wellness standpoint, not just as an illness. Our bodies really have this amazing capacity to boost our wellness, to balance our hormones, to improve fertility and egg quality naturally. And our bodies can heal themselves by themselves, given the right resources and tools. Having said that, I also believe in the art and science of assisted reproductive technology. I have great relationships with fertility doctors all over the country, and some of them even refer to me. So as an integrative nutrition health coach, my approach is an individualized whole body approach. And so we look at diet and rest and exercise and stress management and your surroundings. So having said all that, what I put together for you today are what I consider to be 6 key steps to boost your fertility and support your whole body. So, and I chose to not do slides today because I just sort of prefer to interact with you all here. But so if you have any questions about anything that I'm covering, feel free to put it in the chat. So I want to start with the food piece. I love to start with the food. I always start with the food. I get asked about every kind of diet under the sun all the time. And here's the truth. There's no one diet or style of eating that's right for everyone. You might be keto or paleo or vegetarian or vegan. The one diet that will work best for you is based on your own unique bio-individuality, which is something that I help all of my clients to identify. But I have 3 general tips for all women who are trying to conceive. So number 1 is eat the rainbow. And by that, I mean eating fruits and veggies in a wide variety of colors for a variety of nutrients, so oranges and reds and yellows and those all important greens. Just when you're picking out your produce for the week, think about the rainbow. And then along those lines, when you're eating this rainbow of fruits and veggies, choose organic where possible. So organic foods are not genetically modified, and they're not treated with hormone disrupting chemicals. So the reason that that's important is women, in studies have shown that women with the highest pesticide load, these hormone disrupting chemicals from pesticides, had a greater than 25% lower chance of having a live birth. So really want to think about eating the rainbow and choosing organic where possible. The next thing, my next tip is when it comes to nutrition, eat healthy sources of protein. So a diet that's higher in plant-based protein rather than animal protein has been shown to reduce the risks of infertility, including ovulatory infertility. So when I talk about, high quality, good sources of protein, um, you're thinking about organic pasture raised chicken. You're thinking about wild caught fish like salmon. We're talking about eggs, organic free range eggs. And then those plant-based sources of protein are nuts, nut butters, nut milks, seeds, beans and legumes, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, all really good, healthy sources of protein. So that's tip number 2, eat healthy sources of protein. And then my third tip for the nutrition piece is to eat gluten-free grains and carbs. And so naturally, if you have celiac disease, you're going to be gluten-free 100%. But when I talk about eating gluten-free, that's for a period of time for most people, and generally while you're trying to conceive. And the reason for that is that wheat, which contains gluten, is one of the 8 most allergenic foods that there is, and it can cause a whole host of problems, inflammation, even hormonal imbalance. And research has shown a possible link between gluten sensitivity and infertility. So again, this doesn't have to be a lifelong choice if you find that gluten works for you. But for many, many women, it's helpful to remove gluten from your diet while you're trying to conceive. So gluten-free grains include things like quinoa, which is also high in protein, buckwheat, millet, brown rice, and then, any starchy vegetables like yams and sweet potatoes are also going to be gluten-free. So those are my 3 tips there. Eat the rainbow, eat healthy sources of protein, and go gluten-free. But food is not the only thing that nourishes you, right? I like to say you can eat all the organic kale in the world, but it's important to get nourishment from other areas of your life. So that might include relationships, finding joy, spirituality, physical activity, and your career. So a prime example of this is one of my clients. I'll call her Susan. When she and I started working together, she came to me because she had 3 miscarriages and 4 failed IVF cycles. And she really wanted to leave no stone unturned and be in the best shape possible for her next IVF cycle. She felt all consumed by her infertility. It was really all she thought about, and it really controlled every aspect of her life. And I totally get that. I was that girl when I was going through fertility treatment. So during one of our weekly sessions, I asked her when was the last time that she felt joy. And she literally broke down in tears and said that she just couldn't remember. So we had already been working on dietary changes. She wanted to lose some weight. She felt like maybe gluten and dairy weren't good for her. So she went on a real modified diet. So we had been working on that. And then we continued with that, but we switched gears a little bit. So not only supporting her body and her fertility through nutrition, but we also looked at supporting her body and her fertility by reducing stress and increasing joy and mindfulness. And honestly, through that process, I really saw her experience just so much more joy and like presence in her life than she had in such a long time, because her mind wasn't just focused on fertility, but it was focused on her whole life. So we worked together for several months, and she was starting her next IVF cycle. And when she went for her blood work to get started, she actually found out that she had conceived naturally. And I literally get goosebumps when I tell you that. It makes me so happy. And she's now the mom of a beautiful uh, toddler girl. So the mindfulness piece is super important in this journey. And so the next set of tips that I have for you, the next 3 tips, are tips for practicing mindfulness and stress reduction. And just a little background I want to share. Studies have shown that the rate of anxiety and depression for women with infertility is equivalent to the rate of anxiety and depression in women with HIV and cancer. And I continue to be both blown away by that and also not surprised, um, because it's such a stressful period in your life when you're trying to conceive and it's just not happening. So by practicing stress management techniques, you can do your hormones and your fertility and your mind and your body so much good. So I've got 3 tips for you here. So the first one is to develop a gratitude practice, which really just promotes a positive mindset and can get you out of that sort of negative loop that you might be in. I know I was certainly in that negative loop. So what a gratitude practice might look like, it can be different for each person, but a simple way to do it is if you have a partner and you sit down and have a meal together during the day, just sharing out loud 1, 2, or 3 things that went well for you in your day. It might be as simple as it was a beautiful sunny day, or I got out for a walk, or I had a great win at work, or I went for my monitoring at my clinic and things are looking good. So just 1, 2, or 3 things, sharing out loud that went well for you that day. Another way to practice gratitude is to keep a gratitude journal. Just, maybe keep it on your nightstand. And every night before you go to bed, just again, jot down a couple of things that went well for you in the day. Or first thing when you wake up in the morning, start your day with some gratitude. It really can help just set a nice tone and help to get you kind of reframe and thinking more positively. So that's tip number 1, is to develop a gratitude practice. The second practice I wanted to share with you is deep breathing. I love deep breathing exercises because they can be done anywhere. Super easy, really grounding. Helps you focus on reducing stress and really influences your parasympathetic nervous system. So a deep breathing technique that's really helpful, one that I love, it's called the 4-7-8 breath. And so the way that works is, exhale completely, and then you inhale for the count of 4, you hold your breath for the count of 7, and then you exhale to the count of 8. And you just do that for a total of 4 times. So it's 4-7-8. And that can really, like I said, just ground you in the moment. If you're having a stressful minute, if you've had a work meeting that's just kind of pushed some buttons, or I have clients that do it sometimes, like in the parking lot of the fertility clinic or before a procedure. So that 4-7-8 breath can just be really powerful and can really just reset you in just a couple of minutes. So deep breathing is my second tip there. And then my third tip for for managing stress and mindfulness is, or for managing stress is to cultivate mindfulness. So mindfulness is really the practice of being present, super present. Like, when you're, I guess before COVID, when we were like at a dinner party maybe, and you're talking to somebody and it's as if you're the only person in the room, like they're so focused, that's mindfulness. And it can really, really help to diffuse anxiety. So one way to cultivate mindfulness is to take a walk. No podcasts, no music, no AirPods or earbuds, and really take this walk with all your senses. Really observe what's around you. Smell the air, listen to the sounds, feel the wind on your face, hear the leaves on the trees rustling. So just really being present with all your senses. That's what mindfulness is. Naturally, your thoughts are going to wander, thoughts are going to come in. That's fine. Don't judge them. Just go back to really like taking a deep breath, observing what you're seeing. Mindful eating is another really nice thing to do when you sit down to eat. Really look at the food on your plate. Digestion starts in your mouth. So, pick up your fork, really taste the food. What does it smell like? Really focus on chewing when you first put the food in your mouth. So there are a lot of different ways to cultivate mindfulness, and a lot of different points during the day you can do that. But just think about it as, using all your senses for that experience. So cultivating mindfulness is my third tip. I do want to save time. I see that that some questions are coming in. So I just want to quickly summarize, and then I'll get to your questions. So the first thing is to look at your diet and how it is or isn't serving you. Are you going to remove gluten and see how you feel? Adding it back in, how do you feel? I really look at food as information. So you're going to want to incorporate veggies in a rainbow of colors, eat the rainbow, hopefully as much organic as you can. I do have a tip for organic that I can put in the chat. It's the Environmental Working Group. They put out a couple lists called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen that helps you decide what to choose organic. My next tip was to eat more healthy sources of protein, relying more on plant-based protein and less meat. And again, those plant-based proteins are beans and legumes and nuts, even some veggies. And then we talked about, gluten-free grains and carbs. One important tip here is I really urge you to avoid the gluten-free aisle of the grocery store. A lot of those products are really highly processed. If you look at the labels, there's probably stuff you can't pronounce. There's probably sugar high up in the ingredient list, additives, preservatives. So definitely ways to go gluten-free without really relying on processed foods from that gluten-free aisle of the grocery store. And then finally, find a stress management mind-body practice that you'll easily fit into your day. The one that's going to be best for you is the one that you can do. And that might change. It might ebb and flow. Maybe the deep breathing, you're going to start with that. And then you're going to move on and do some mindfulness walks. So just whatever you can fit into your day is really the right one. So I will get into the Q&A in just a sec. I did want to share with you something that I'm just super excited about. I am launching a 5-week live virtual group program beginning June 8th. It's called Fertility Foundations. And this is mind and body practices to boost fertility. And honestly, I wish this was the program that I had when I was going through fertility treatment. So every week during the 5 weeks, we're going to have a live training like this with a Q&A. We're going to have a live group meditation. We're going to have a live 30-minute yoga practice with Carrie Hines, who is the creator and founder of Fertile Body Yoga. You're going to have access to fertility doctors for questions and answers. We've got a private member portal where we can connect between our live sessions to ask questions and to get support and to provide resources. Topics are going to include diet and nutrition, living a greener lifestyle, boosting fertility and egg quality, stress management, mindfulness. So if you want an extra level of support in your journey, really from all angles, yoga, lifestyle, diet, access to fertility doctors, and really what's going to be this really supportive and informative container, then this is definitely for you. And I can put the link in the chat, but it's at my website, jennredmond.com, JENNREDMOND.com/foundations. So I'm going to stop talking and answer your questions. Let me see what's in the chat. Okay, Casey, you are preparing for your next retrieval. Awesome. I wish you so much luck and support on that. If you have any questions specifically, let me know. Let's see, the next question, should you inhale through your mouth? Yes. So when you do the 4-7-8 breath, big whoosh first, exhale, breathe in through your nose for the count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and then an exhale through your mouth. Great question. Thank you for asking me to clarify that. Amanda, you've heard that you should not drink liquids while eating. So yeah, that is, I actually personally don't drink liquids while I eat. I find it's definitely much better for my digestion. When it comes to hydration, this just makes me think of something. I actually start my day with a big jar of warm lemon water. For many people, I find that starting with my day with lemon water just helps get me hydrated. Sort of starts my day getting hydrated. And, if you think about all your cells are comprised of water, so you want to keep them really hydrated and nourished. Aim for half your body weight in ounces of water. So let's say you weigh 140, you're going to aim for 70 ounces of water. And often room temperature and warm liquids are better for your digestion. And particularly when you're trying to conceive, can be better for your body. Obviously, as I said, there's a lot of individuality in this, but those are just some sort of general tips about staying hydrated. Red wine or any other alcohol during the egg retrieval process. So my personal feeling is no. There are a couple of reasons with alcohol. So first of all, definitely talk to your fertility doctor about it. I know different practices have different thoughts about it. I tend to advise against alcohol when you're cycling. One thing that I think we often don't think about with alcohol is that there's so much sugar in it. And sugar is definitely something you want to try and keep track of when you're cycling. You want to think about blood sugar, you want to think about insulin resistance, and really trying to just watch your sugar intake. And alcohol has a lot of sugar. And aside from that, just in general, I think alcohol and fertility treatments just don't mix. Let's see here. I have anyone else have any questions for me? I can stay on for a couple more minutes. I'm going to put in a link to my website and my program.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're taking on someone to assist in their process, how do you evaluate them to see where they are, what they need? What is that like?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thank you. So when I work with my clients one-on-one, they fill out an application on my website that just gives me some basic information. Are you trying to conceive? How long have you been trying to conceive? Are you in fertility treatment? And then once we determine that we're a good fit to work together, the very first step is filling out a really detailed health history form that talks about not only your menstrual history and your fertility history, but just your general health, your family's health. It's a little bit of not a food journal, but sort of what are you eating right now for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a typical day. So just a really extensive health history that just helps me understand where you're at. And then that very first call that we have, that's a 90-minute deep dive specifically on this health history. So I can just get a good picture. Like I said, starting often way back, when did you first start menstruating? What does your cycle look like? Do you have PCOS? Do you have any other health goals aside from getting pregnant? Is there other wellness? Because it is very much a whole body approach. I say sometimes that, fertility really is more than your reproductive system, right? So it's really this whole body approach. Another question. I hope that answers it. Thank you for asking. Have you heard or read It Starts with the Egg by Rebecca Fett? Yes, I love that book. It's on the bookshelf behind me, or maybe it's even on my desk. Excellent book, really good resource. I think she has some great tips around diet. She also has a pretty extensive supplement list. DHEA, I think, is a really personal choice. I know some fertility doctors are pretty big on prescribing it, but I think it's really individualized. One of the things that I like about Rebecca and her book, I don't know her personally, is that it's it's based in science and studies. And I very much believe in that as well. And I believe in referring to a lot of science and studies. So I think she's done some great work. And I know she has a follow-up book as well. I haven't read that one yet. Any other questions?
Can you talk a little bit about supplements like CoQ10, vitamin
yeah.
D?
Yeah. So vitamin D has been shown to be really helpful, an important piece just in general health as well as fertility. The majority of us are vitamin D deficient. So most fertility clinics will, when they do your blood work, they'll check your vitamin D and prescribe a supplement if it's low. And there have been good studies around vitamin D and fertility. CoQ10 as an antioxidant can be helpful for both women and men. So antioxidants are, you can get antioxidants definitely from food, but also from supplementation. I know that some practitioners have started prescribing acai, which is a berry from Brazil, but now you can get that in capsule form, and it's one of the most antioxidant rich supplements. When it comes to supplementation, I love for people to really think about getting a lot of their nutrients from their food, right? Like eating this really nutrient dense diet and then supplementing where you need to. Like I said, many women need vitamin D supplementation. Definitely take a good quality prenatal vitamin, super important for women. So thanks for asking that. Casey says her doctor recommended pine bark supplement. I have not heard of that, Casey, but I'm going to look that up when we get off the call. Let's see, pine bark, I'm writing that down. A certain brand of prenatal vitamins. So I wish I had my list in front of me. There are a few brands that I like, and there's actually also a gummy for people who like gummies. but I don't have the list in front of me. So if you want to shoot me an email at jennifer@jenredmond.com, I'd be happy to share that information with you. I know we have to wrap up. We're running out of time here. I just want to thank you so much for having me here today, for being here with me this morning. I hope you really enjoy the rest of the conference. It's a great lineup, and I'm just really grateful to have been a part of it. So thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks.